Craig Haley, the Sports Network. Craig, just give us what are your impressions of the OVC football for this season?
Well, obviously it's going to be a big year. I mean, starting with Jacksonville State, all the players returning, 2 quarterbacks, the running back coming in from Georgia. It starts there, but it doesn't end there. I mean, you look at what Murray State's done in the last year to really get rolling under Chris Hatcher and Brockman back at quarterback. So they're going to be right there. Eastern Kentucky obviously beat Jacksonville State last year. I mean, they're going to have a big year, starting with Jeremy Caldwell, returning in the backfield and returning kicks. I think the depth is tremendous in this league. I mean, obviously the league's looking to get to a higher level nationally. I think this is a year. I think Jacksonville State not only is going to break through in the playoffs with a big win, but I think they can go very far. I think this team is tremendous, and that depth in the league will prepare the Gamecocks for the playoffs.
Well, let me ask you about that. Last year, the OVC had 2 teams ranked in the top 10 at one point. They kind of got some bad matchups and came up close in the playoffs. The OVC has a stigma. We haven't been able to win a playoff game for a while. What really goes into that? How important has it been that sometimes you get the tough draw in the first round where they don't seed teams? Just what are your thoughts on that?
Sure. Well, with 20 teams in the playoffs, there are very few easy matchups in the first round. It's not like the NCAA basketball tournament where you can draw a 16 seed and have an easy first round game. It's not that way in the FCS. You do want to have a home game if possible, but last year a lot of road teams won, especially early on. So your matchup is going to be tough. Obviously, Southeast had to go all the way out to Eastern Washington last year, which wound up winning the FCS title. So you just have to be ready. You want to be peaking. It's kind of hard to do in November, I think, because your body's starting to wear down player-wise with injuries. So you really have to just hope your team is healthy and playing its best, moving into the playoffs.
Well, tell us about, you go to a lot of these media days and you see a lot of the conference preseason polls, how inaccurate they are. I believe the OVC 8 years in a row, who's been picked to win, has not won. SEMA was picked next to last year and they won. The coaches always say the preseason polls are just done for the media. Just give us your thoughts on what you can tell from a preseason poll.
Well, I mean, obviously that's why the polls are on paper. They don't mean anything to what's going to happen on the field. I mean, teams rise up. Look at Southeast Missouri last year. I mean, they were picked second to last and tied for second to last in the poll and wound up winning the OVC and having, it's one of its best years ever. I'm the first to say that when I vote in a poll, I can be wrong, and a lot of pollsters base it on what happened the year before. I mean, you have to be able to anticipate who's improving, who's coming in that's making an impact, and these teams are very close, more so than you might think. They're rivals, and within conference, they know what each other's going to do, so they're out to win. The players and the coaches are not going to pay attention to the poll and say, hey, we're 7th in the poll. We're not supposed to beat this team. They're out to win. So yes, polls can be very inaccurate.
What do you just think the overall state of FCS football is entering this season?
Well, it's kind of an odd year, just because everybody in the last year or so have been jockeying whether they're moving up to FBS, whether they're staying, different changes in the national landscape. We're not done yet with who's going to move to different conferences and up to the FBS. So you can almost look at it as the pre-transition period. It's happening. There's still some more movement, but obviously the FCS is tremendous football. I mean, these players, may not get the national accolades that you do on the FBS level, but it's just tremendous football.
And finally, just tell us how important it is to come out to some media days, get to meet some coaches and players in person, and put some faces with the names.
It's tremendous. I mean, you walk in here and you see some of the all-league players. It's like being at an all-star game. I mean, people that you read about and follow, to see them in person and get to see their story, their behind-the-scenes story. I just think it's an unbelievable experience to be able to go to different media days and see these coaches and players.